Great news, y'all. This is the last lesson that we're doing for circles. So after you complete day 6 of this and you complete the day 6 assignment, you're done with having to learn more about circles. Now, you are going to use circles throughout the rest of the year as we go through the rest of the year, but you won't need to know anything else about circles. Now, today we're learning about real life application. So let's talk about what we know about our circle. For our circle, we know that the distance going around the edge is our circumference. So our circumference is our perimeter. And then we know that the space enclosed by the circle, so all of this space right here, is our area. And when it comes to things in real life, like let's say, for instance, you're putting up a fence around a circular garden, well, then you're doing the circumference. You're putting up a perimeter around your circle, so you're using circumference. But let's say that you wanted to fill in that garden with grass on every single section, well, you're filling in the area. And so these are two different situations that one of which you would need circumference for and one of which you would need area for. So we're going to learn about which one you use based off the question. So we have several keywords. First keyword is around. You've got outside, fence, length, distance, border, edges, rim, rotation, revolution, and trim. All of these words are talking about going around the edge or the perimeter of your circle. So all of these have to do with circumference. Now, when we talk about area, that is the space inside of your circle. So if it's got a circle and it says inside, or a big one is square units. That's a huge one. If it says square units, then you know you're finding area. If it says tile, paint, because when you paint, you're covering the entire surface. If it says space inside, carpet, because your carpet's going to cover the entire space, rug, surface area, obviously because it says area, cover, or face of object. So all of these mean area, but the really big one is square units, or if you see an answer and it has your units squared, so if it says like inches squared, then you know that you're using area. So let's go through these examples and see which one we're going to use. So the first one says, Heather has a circular shaped garden in her backyard. Okay, so we're going to draw a circle. It says if the border of the garden is about 37.68. Okay, so the distance going around our border is 37.68. So that means our circumference, because it's the border, circumference equals 37.68. Then it wants to know how much of the backyard does the garden cover. Now this right here, this word cover, means we're trying to figure out how much total space this circle takes up. So this is our cover right here. Well, that is area, and so we're looking for the area. Now, I hate the fact that they started with this one because this one's harder than the rest of them, but that's just what you need to know. Okay, so we have circumference, we're looking for area. We talked about this yesterday, where circumference, if you're given a circumference and you need to find area, well, for area, we have area equals pi times radius squared. Well, that means that we need to know the radius in order to find area. So the circumference formula I'm going to use is going to be my circumference formula that has radius in it. So it's going to be my circumference equals 2 times pi times radius, because I have to have the radius to solve for area. Okay, so now what I can do is I can say, all right, well, we know that the fence is 37.68. So my circumference is 37.68. Then after circumference comes an equal sign, then a 2, and then 3.14, and then radius. So I do 37.68 equals 6.28 times your radius. And we just divide both sides by 6.28 to get rid of that multiplication. And we find that our radius is going to equal 6 after you do that. Well, now that we have our radius, we can then go back and we can find how much this circular garden takes up. We can find the area. And so I'm going to plug that radius in. I have area equals pi times radius, because remember that's what pi r squared means. So it's pi times radius times radius. So I'm going to say area equals, and then I have my pi, which is 3.14. And then we found that our radius is 6, and if this radius right here is 6, then this radius right here also has to be 6. So then I have area equals 3.14 times 36, and we find that the area equals 113.06 feet squared. And this is our final answer. That is how much space the garden takes up. Now, most of the time, you're not going to have to go that far. So that one's a little bit more difficult. So let's look at this one. Heather is putting up a small fence around a play area in her backyard for a puppy. If the diameter is 6 feet, how much fencing does she need? Now remember, fence is going around the edge, right? So it's just taking up this edge space. It's not going through the whole thing. So fence means your circumference. Ew, I spelled that so wrong. I'm so sorry. All right, so since it gives us diameter, we're going to choose our circumference formula that has diameter in it. So we have circumference, which is C, equals pi times diameter. We don't know what circumference is. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for the fence. So then we have equals pi, which is 3.14, times the diameter of 6. And that is going to give us 18.84. And this is what most of them are going to look like. That first one was just rough. This one's a lot easier. All right, this next one says, Pepe's Pizza sells a large pizza that has a diameter of 16 inches. How many square inches? So remember, I said if it says the unit squared, that we're finding area. And also, we're talking about a pizza. You're not just going to eat the crust of the pizza. You're going to eat the whole thing, right? So you're eating the entire surface of that pizza. So you're finding the area. We only have one formula for area, and it is area equals pi times radius squared. Or area equals pi times radius times radius. Well, in this situation, we were given diameter. So I have to turn my diameter into a radius, and remember to do that, I just divide by 2. So my radius is 8. Or you could say that radius equals diameter divided by 2, so it would be radius equals 16 divided by 2, which is 8, whichever way you prefer to find it. So all I have to do is say area equals 3.14 times 8 times 8, and then you have 3.14 times 64. And that gives me a total area of 200.96 inches squared. For the next one, Myrtle is making a circular quilt for her new grandchild. If she wants the quilt to have a distance of 1.5 yards from the center, how many square yards will the quilt cover? So distance of 1.5 yards from the center sounds really confusing, but basically it just means this right here. From the center to the edge is 1.5 yards. So it's your radius. And it says square yards right here. And remember, if it says square yards, then we are finding our area. We only have one formula, which is pi times radius squared, or pi times radius times radius. So I would do 3.14 times 1.5 times 1.5, which would give me a total of 7.065 yards squared. 2 more to go. All right, so this one says the Ferris wheel at the Texas State Fair has a diameter of 64 meters. Okay, so we have diameter. What is the distance of one rotation on the Ferris wheel? So when you go around a Ferris wheel, you're not going all up in here. You're just going around the edge. So that's your circumference. So we're going to use our circumference formula that has diameter because it says right here diameter. So we were going to use circumference equals pi times diameter, or circumference equals 3.14 times 64, which is going to give us a circumference of 200.96 meters. Not squared because this is just circumference. And the last one is Heather also wants to put a circular fire pit in her backyard. If she needs the fire pit to be 4 feet wide, what will the length of the border around the fire pit be? So we're just doing this right here. We're doing our border. So that is our circumference. So we have circumference equals, and this is a diameter that they give us. This is a diameter right here. So we would use pi times diameter. So circumference equals 3.14 times 4, and we would find 12.56 feet to be our answer. All right, and that is it. That is the lesson for today.